Maple Leafs fall yet again, and another heartbreaker. They lose 7-4 to Colorado Avalanche, and it rubs some salt into the wound. The Panthers win. This is going to be very, very interesting, and quite frankly, it was a bad game. Morgan Rielly with one of the worst turnovers I've seen in a very long time, given the circumstances. Just a bad game. There's a lot to go over. A couple of the new guys, Brandon Carlo, Scott Laughton made their debuts. We'll dive into that. But at the end of the day, the Leafs now are behind the Panthers. They no longer lead the Atlantic Division. Still have a game in hand, but man, oh man, it's a not the start out of the trade deadline that you wanted to see. If there is one bright side, it's that the Tampa Bay Lightning got shut out by the Bruins, but horrible.
Yeah, but we're not looking at the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're looking at the Florida Panthers, who also won in a shutout performance. The Panthers have let in one goal in their last four games, so they're rolling, which is unfortunate. But yeah, they have a big game coming up Thursday against each other. The Leafs have to win Thursday. Absolutely have to win. If you lose that game, you're looking at playing Tampa again in the first round, and that's not ideal. Obviously, I do think that they can beat them. They've done it before, but not ideal. I'd rather finish in that first position there, and they're sliding a little bit. I don't know what happened to the Leafs. This looks like the Leafs of old this last week. Like they're doing things that are very uncharacteristic for the Leafs this year and very weird. I thought there was a lot of positives tonight in terms of like little things, obviously. Like they were never in that game. They didn't deserve to win this game whatsoever, but they had it there. They could have, clamped down on defense and actually won that game. They scored enough goals to do it, but unfortunately they lose. And Nathan MacKinnon is pretty good player. 100 points on the season already. But Morgan Rielly is having a tough one, Nick. He's having a tough season, man.
Yeah, it was absolutely terrible. And a couple things to dive into with this game. Core 4 was fantastic. They were up 4-2 at one point. I mean, there's a lot of blame to be placed around. I will temper a couple things. I think once they get Chris Tanev back, they'll be fine. I think that is one of the biggest reasons. Morgan Rielly, really bad again. Anthony Solars wasn't great. That being said, a couple of the goals weren't his fault. Obviously a couple empty netters as well there. But it is that's the most frustrated I've been after a loss. Not even because they should have won the game when they were up 4-2 going in, and 4-3 again going into the third. But man, oh man, I think William Nylander played good. I think John Tavares played good. I think Mitch Marner played absolutely fantastic. Horrible penalty though, but I mean that's kind of just your natural instinct. He turned over the puck. He tried to stop the breakaway. Not really mad about that. Scott Laughton looked like he was a little bit rusty at the center position there. It looked like he was a bit uncomfortable. It was rough. He was a minus. People are saying -3. Stats say -2, and I think he was a -3. So Scott Laughton, whether he's a -2 or -3, a pretty bad game for him. I'm not going to worry too much about it. People saying Brandon Carlo had a bad game, I think is a little bit absurd.
Disagree.
He had one bad shift. Other than that, he had some great poke checks. He had 6 block shots after that, a great poke check, a glove save himself, and made some phenomenal plays in the PK. I think Brandon Carlo was probably the second or third best defenseman. Jake McCabe and Benoit had a really good game as well, but it was Philip Myers really, not a really good game, but he played pretty solid. He's showing his physicality out there. Philip Myers, disastrous. Morgan Rielly, disastrous. I think Brandon Carlo played really good, quite honestly.
Thought he played well.
Really impressive. Really impressed with Brandon Carlo, especially after his first one where, Kevin Biesca showed it after the first, or I think it was after the first period or second period. Blown coverage a little bit, but it wasn't even necessarily blown coverage. He just was a little bit hesitant on who to pick up, shifted back a little bit too far into the neutral zone there and gave up a goal. But I think Carlo played fantastic. I think Scott Laughton played really bad, but that's fine. That's going to happen. You're also not getting Scott Laughton to score goals or anything like that. He's going to be okay, I think. The biggest problem here for me is, Morgan Rielly and the defense in general without Chris Tanev, like some of the worst defensive games I've ever seen. And to be honest, without Brandon Carlo and Jake McCabe out there, they probably give up 10 goals.
Yeah, Jake McCabe is a huge factor this season. They desperately need Chris Tanev back. Like I've been saying it all season, like this guy's way better than anyone realizes. Like he's a huge part of this team. They need him back desperately. And Morgan Rielly, not great. Phil Meyer, not great. Blown coverage on the last goal. I saw a lot of people, especially on Twitter, blaming Laughton for that one. Not Laughton's fault.
Almost tipped it.
Yeah, but not Laughton's fault. It's Myers out of position there that allowed them to free up that much space. And in terms of Laughton, he hasn't played center a whole lot. Like Tortorella had him playing the wing a lot. It's a brand new team, brand new system, right? Like it's the first game, so I'm not going to read too much into that. I saw little things he was doing that I kind of liked, like picking up guys and stuff like that. But Obviously, it just wasn't good enough. But like the area of concern to me is not Carlo or Lawton. Like we cannot be blaming the guys that they traded for yesterday and they're playing their first game without a practice. It's the guys like Morgan Riley, right? Like they didn't play well tonight. So you need your top guys to play well. I honestly, and nobody's mentioned them yet. I thought Austin Matthews was a beast tonight on the boards. Like I thought he was an absolute tank. Obviously, Mitch Marner with a couple goals, through all the noise of today and yesterday. So good for him too. I thought he played really well. Top line played well. Top line played well. John Tavares played well as well. Holmberg had a decent game. He's skating well, right? Still making some weird decisions on the boards for me, but he had a decent game. And I thought Nick Robertson played all right too. He was playing in a different role. I thought he's added some physicality to his game. I've been liking his game a little bit, but obviously needs to score. That's his game. But it's those guys that you need to play well that are not playing well. That's where the problem is. Lawton and Carlo, it's their first game. They're gonna get a practice in. They're gonna learn the system and they'll get up to speed. I'm not worried about that. And I thought Carlo after that first miscue, he was fine. He was
Yeah.
totally fine.
Very frustrated. Very, very frustrated. Matthews on top of the impact chart. Yeah, Darius, you want to grab that, assuming it's,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
That
man, oh
does
man.
not surprise me. I thought he was nobody's mentioning him. I didn't even see him on Twitter. His name pop up. Absolute beast tonight on the boards. He was winning every puck battle. Like it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it's just also hit the like button if you're enjoying the stream. I mean, I don't want to ask for too much here because I'm pretty tilted. I think this is the most tilted I've been on any of the games. Just a horrible game defensively.
They had it, right? They could have won that
Lawton,
game.
Domi, McMahon should be a good line. Yeah, I'm not even worried about the offense.
Are
I mean,
they purposefully not posting the Leafs impact charts anymore?
yeah, might be. Nylander doesn't like playing with Homer, but he can't say anything, so he's just playing insider scoop. Interesting. Thought Benwa had a decent game too. Yeah, Benwa did good. He's trying to throwing his body around, really good hits. I mean, it was Myers. Philip Myers was terrible. Morgan Riley was terrible. Everyone else was fine. OEL a little bit iffy sometimes, but
Wow.
you got the
This
chart.
impact chart is, yeah. Sorry for the reaction. I'll send it over
No,
to you in
you're
a
good.
sec. I just
I'm frustrated, ladies and gentlemen. I'm frustrated. I'm a frustrated Leafs fan right now. Rarely do I get this frustrated after a loss, but
I don't think Nylander likes Benoit at all, by the way.
maybe not.
Because that guy cannot move the puck whatsoever. So
Max Domi with a sneaky bad game too. Throwing that out there.
not great. He was trying a little too much.
Yep. Toronto's won
The
two
worst thing
games
to
of the three
do,
coming up. They're not going to be first in the Atlantic. Blake, they aren't even first in the Atlantic right now, unfortunately, but they have a chance at. You need Chris Tanev back.
yeah, just sent that over to you. We can
All
pull
right.
up the impact
Let's.
chart.
I'm very curious to see where Brandon Carlo lays. I'm assuming Lawton's near the bottom. Yep.
Uh,
Benoit at the bottom. Interesting.
it's kind of what you thought it would be.
Okay, that's
I
about
do
right.
want
I
to
mean,
point
I
out
think
something
Benoit
about
played
Carlo.
fine.
But
His stuff never goes in the impact chart. I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, Scott Lawton, Philip Myers, Benoit at the bottom, Max Domi horrible, Morgan Riley horrible, Brandon Carlo. Okay, I mean Carlo's kind of near the bottom, but I think that was fine, especially because he gave up 2 goals early. Yeah, I mean that's about right. I think Pontus played fine, Lawrence played fine. I liked Carlo's game, but I don't want to see Philip Myers play on my hockey team ever again.
well, he's going to.
Oh yeah,
But
maybe.
no, they need Tanev back. Tanev looks like he's nearing a return though. Like it could be Monday or Thursday. Silver lining here as well. Thursday's going to be a tough game. Like Florida's going to come in knowing that they have to win as well. Monday you're playing Utah. You got to win that game. You have to win that game.
Oh yeah.
That's as close to as not even a must win. Like that's got to be a scheduled W on the schedule.
I mean, every game is must win at this point of the season. If you don't
No, it
win,
is, but
you're
like
cooked.
that's one that you look back and if they end up losing that, you're like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
So
What are we
frustrating.
doing?
I mean, they're still like 6th in the NHL, which kind of goes to show how good they were
Yeah.
playing. Yeah, I mean, whoa, they are actually. Wait, no.
Yeah, things move quick in the NHL when you lose a few in a row.
Okay, never mind. I was a little bit confused. So I think these are updated now. They might actually. So okay, so the Leafs are 4 points behind the Panthers.
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
I did not realize that.
After tonight,
Brutal.
not great. I also thought McMahon played well tonight too. I just wanted to throw that out there. I thought he had a pretty strong game. He was skating well,
Yeah.
I thought. They didn't start well and it just continued. It just continued from there. I was shocked that they scored that many goals, to be honest. With the way they were playing and the goaltender that they were playing against. Crazy.
Yeah, so 4 points back. You can win against Utah, hope to gain some ground. You beat Florida. I mean, this week is going to be absolutely rough. It's going to be critical. It is, Yeah, I mean, you play. I mean, there's some easy games coming up, but you play Utah and then the Panthers, and then on Saturday you play the Senators. You need to win all three. And on the
Yeah.
Panthers side of things, they play the Bruins and then the Leafs. So I can't imagine they're going to lose to the Bruins.
I thought I'm not looking at Robertson to score when you're playing on the fourth line. I'm looking at him to do fourth line things. When you're put in a certain role,
I
you
think
got
he
to
was
play
okay.
that way.
I don't think he
And I
was
thought that
good.
he
I don't
played.
think he was bad. I think
I
he
thought
was
he
fine.
played well in his role. I thought he played well in this role. But
Like same 699. Get Robertson off the team. He can't play in the playoffs. It is there's some Robertson hate flying in. I think he played.
it goes every game.
I think he
Flip
was
flops
meh.
every time he scores.
I think he was
But
meh.
are we worried about Tampa? I want to pivot to that for a
No.
second. Are we worried about Tampa? I'm leaning no, if we end up playing them, but I do think you want to give yourself the best chance possible. I'd rather play like an Ottawa or New York Rangers in the first round or Columbus Blue Jackets. Like I'd rather do that. Like nobody's going to be easy. Everyone's playing for their playoff lives, especially if you're playing for the wild card. But I'm more concerned with Florida. I'm not as concerned with Tampa. If you look at their defensive core, I mean the Leafs have a better team on paper and they've beaten them before in the playoffs. I'm not saying it's going to be an easy series, but I'm not entirely concerned about that. I think Florida's the team still to beat in this conference. Maybe not
I
the
mean, yeah,
conference.
Florida.
Division.
Florida is
Washington's pretty
terrifying.
good. Yeah.
There's a point where I believe the Leafs were 6 points up on the Panthers. I think right there's.
Yeah, they had like a bunch of games in hand that's caught up to them, which we were talking about. We were like, oh yeah, we're sitting good now, but not great, but not great.
I think it's Austin, Florida. Yeah, I mean, the Leafs will be fine. They lost three in a row. They have 1 point in their last three. Like, I think they'll be okay, but it
The best
is.
teams, the best teams in this conference, I think one, two, and three are Florida, Washington, Toronto.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
we'll see how that shakes out. See how that shakes out.
there's
It would
gonna
have
be
been
a lot
nice
of
to hang on
hopefully
to
a lot
that
of
lead.
updates come out tomorrow surrounding
Yeah.
of course Chris Tanev and even like I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. They probably sit Robo next game. They probably get Kelly or Croak back in.
I think they're gonna swap a lot of guys in and out as we go along here.
Stellaris tonight. I don't blame him a ton.
Not great.
Goaltending's been horrible though. Like it's something that's flown under the radar. It's been really bad. Like
Yeah, it
Wall's
hasn't
been
been good.
brutal. Stellaris has been not as bad. And realistically, Stellaris after a rough first couple goals really settled in there, and then he gave up
He
a
did.
couple at the end, like really bad turnovers. Like there's not much. I don't know.
I thought he switched from being, I don't know what the word is, not passive, but like he started playing more aggressive
He was
at
fine.
one point tonight, and he played well. I thought he was playing well, and then it turned on its head again.
Paul, thank you for the $10 donation. They're winning in the third. Then they decide they're going to stop picking up their man. First Duran in front, and then McKinnon. Waltz is in at top shelf, so Stellaris can't stop all the tough ones. I agree. He's not the reason they lost that
Yeah, he
game.
can't do it. No, not at all.
Not the reason they lost that game. I would have rather.
One of his,
I think it was
yeah,
Scott Lawton. I would have rather anybody but McKinnon shoot that shot. I think he went towards whoever was in front of the net instead of McKinnon. It is what it is.
yeah.
But I would have rathered anyone else. And also, Marty Natchez, he generates a lot of scoring chances for that team. So
He's a good player. They made out okay, I think, with that Rantanen thing. I'm not gonna lie, but they got a center out of it too. Their fourth line center out of it, but not gonna blame Stolars. Was it his best game? No, but they didn't lose because of him, and I think that's fair because he's given you a chance to win most nights this year. So did not was definitely not his fault. I thought Tavares had a strong game as well.
yeah, Nas played fantastic. Like I don't know, it's just so frustrating. You hope for the momentum coming out of the break or coming out of the trade deadline. Like this win would have went a long way, but even we're at the point now in the season where it does not matter. Like these intangibles, the momentum does not matter. You need to get points. If they lose another game this week, they're going to be in rough shape with Florida. Because I can't see Florida losing against the Bruins. Could happen. Tampa Bay just lost. You never really know. Hockey's a coin toss a lot of the times. But you think
Yep.
back to that game where the Leafs, what was the team? Literally 2 games ago in
San
overtime
Jose.
or in the
San
shootout.
Jose.
Yeah, they lost to San Jose in the shootout. Should have been an easy win. They lose. They get completely clobbered by the Vegas Golden Knights. Is what it is there. I mean, and then you lose this one. Like they have to. Granted, not the easiest schedule, but it's because
They-
Tanev is gone. Like that is the reason. This team is screwed if Tanev is injured in the playoffs. For what it's worth, absolutely screwed. You have Myers and Benoit as your third pairing. You are cooked.
Not ideal. We'll say that.
I'm
Not
usually
ideal.
optimistic too. I am.
No, that's a
so
tough
far.
game because you're up, right? Like you don't deserve to win it, but like you have to recognize you have a 4-2 lead here, right? Like let's buy in a little bit. Come on. You got to win that game. You got to win that game. They have to win Monday now. No other choice. I mean, that's a playoff game. Treat that as game 7. I know they're not going to, but think about
They
it. Like you
might.
got to get 2 points there. You got to get two
I think the
points.
Florida game on Thursday they're gonna have to treat as a game 7.
It's at home. It's at home as well.
They've also
So
been on a, not to make excuses for this team because that was a, oh, is that a swear? That was a really bad performance, but they're on a brutal road trip. And Austin Matthews has said it's been eating
yep.
at him. So
Yep.
I'm with you guys. Yeah, Scott. Usually I'm the optimistic one. You can be pessimistic tonight. I'm
We've
usually
been
just.
very.
I'm usually
We've been,
as like
yeah.
I'm pretty on the pretty like chill with it because I don't usually regular season's too long to be mad after every loss. But we're at the point now where like these losses mean an unbelievable amount. Like tonight's loss was I literally texted Darius must win, and then they
Yeah.
lost the game,
Yeah.
and it's because it was. I mean, it wasn't, especially because of how close, how new a lot of these players are. But Carlo, 22
Yeah.
minutes, time on ice. Yeah, he had a fantastic game. I liked it.
Yeah. No, he played.
He
He
led
played.
defenseman with time on ice, by the way.
No, he played well, and he played some time on the PK. I think it's impressive that he came in and played on the PK without practicing first, and they didn't have a morning skate. Like I thought that was kind of impressive. So I'm excited to see what they can do as they get acclimated here. They're gonna get a practice in. They're gonna play on Monday. That game's going to be, you got to win that game, but it's going to be another interesting one where it's like you haven't really had too much practice time. And they have a few days off in between that one and the Florida game. They're playing at home against Florida. So I'm expecting them to bring their best against Florida, which is going to be exciting. They also play Florida 2 more times before the end of the year. So you hold the fate of the first seed there in your palm, really. So let's get after it. And it's going to be exciting, but they got to win some games here. They should have beat San Jose. They probably should have gave not Florida, sorry, Vegas a more of a fight in that game. But we've been uh, we've been very optimistic, I think, on the channel. But tonight, you'd like to see them hold on to that lead, especially with some of the performances tonight. I thought Marner played well, Matthews played really well. So
Yeah, it's brutal. Bad loss. I'm upset. I'm down on Marner a lot, but he did a great defensive job breaking up. Yeah, I mean he did fine. He had that one penalty, but I mean it's fine. He was
I don't think that's.
Let's get Eric. I believe it's Eric. Let's get Eric in here. I think right. I'm pretty sure this is Eric. Might not be though. We have to. We're gonna check. I get the numbers mixed up. Might be. We'll see who it is. All right. I'm disappointed in this loss. I'm disappointed. I'm upset. Eric, correct? It is Eric. Who's calling? Oh, okay. Welcome, John. I didn't. I thought I had the number memorized. It is a new one. John, welcome. What are your thoughts on that loss? I'm very upset right now. It's a frustrating one, but we're here, and let's hear your thoughts on that game.
Honestly, first period wasn't great from Carlo, but
Yep.
he got way better after the first. I can say confidently. Scott Lawton looked a little bit rough
I agree.
out there, like kind of lost throughout the entire game, I would say, which granted is to be expected because he's new. But Riley, especially during the empty net, I just felt like he kind of just dumped it right into the Avs player hand. I just felt like it was a little bit lazy. And then like Willie too, I felt like he was a bit not hard on the puck tonight.
Yeah, Willie.
Guys.
Yeah, Willie has games like that. We've talked about it on the channel before, where you'll get a 2 goal, 1 assist performance out of him, and then he'll kind of string like 3 really good games together. And then there's games like tonight where you're like, "Where's your $11 million player? Like, where, where is he? I can't find him."
Exactly.
But Riley, to me, this year, like he had a really good stretch. We had a couple videos and we covered it where Brube met with Riley, like I think a couple weeks ago, probably around the Four Nations face-off, and was like, "Hey, this is what we need you to do. Like, we just need you to settle down, and let's be more direct with things." And he had a really, really good stretch where he was playing well. And now, like a game like tonight is kind of like he's been playing the rest of the season, and he just doesn't seem locked in mentally. Like I think it's a mental thing to me, where it's just like you could have put that puck in 3 different spots. You could have thrown on net. You could have put it like shot it just wide to create a bounce or something, and you just give it to the other team, and then they take it the other way and score. It's just I don't know what he's doing right now, and I feel like Brandon Carlo is in for quite a ride with this pairing. That's for sure.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because like he's been paired with OEL, right, at some point this season.
Yes,
and alongside McCabe too.
Yep.
At times. Yep.
So like by this point, like what do you do? Like, because like everyone's talking about how last time Riley was good, he was paired with like a giant D-man, and now Carlo is here, and Carlo was more effective than Riley. So what does that mean, you think?
I think it means that Riley needs to play better hockey. I think he's completely fallen off a cliff since that 70-point season. I don't know. Riley's been, I don't know I think it's in his head at this point. Something might be going on. I don't want to speculate on that, but like, I think he's just completely, I mean, that play to get the empty net goal, I guess I see what he's trying to do, but like, it looks worse every single time you look back at it. And he didn't even,
Exactly.
if he was trying to dump it in, he didn't have no power behind that at all. It was just like a pass. And it's part of the reason I'm so frustrated. But you hope that he can be somewhat serviceable. Like at the end of the day, they don't have Chris Tanev, Brandon Carlo, like you mentioned. I mean, you put him in a pairing with Morgan Riley, and Brandon Carlo is just in his first game with no practice, coming off of a brand new team, played 10 times better than Morgan Riley did. Like that shouldn't not happen. It should never happen. And
Exactly.
just I think he's just being irresponsible with the puck by trying to force things because he knows how bad his season has been.
Honestly, just trying to overcompensate, and it screws the team in the end. Honestly, you're right.
Yeah, and I think a lot of guys like Berube is talking about, the reason that Liljegren didn't make the opening night lineup is because he overcomplicated things and then they ended up trading him, right? And then you look at Morgan Riley, he's overcomplicating things. The reason Carlo looked so good tonight to me is because he was doing the simple things. He was blocking shots, gets the puck out, he moves the puck out quickly, and that's all good. And then you see Riley trying to do, I don't even know what he was doing. Like that dump in, I know we're going to keep talking about it, but that dump in, it's like, it wasn't even a dump in. He just like dumped it lightly into the corner where no one was. It's puzzling, but it wasn't just that play. There's a couple times tonight where, he's running around, and then once you get running around, other guys are going to try and overcompensate, and then somebody's going to end up open, right? And it happened like 2 or 3 times tonight. And it wasn't just Riley, like the whole team, right? But
Right.
it's tough. He's been doing that for the majority of the season, so he's got to get going. And it's not about acquiring other guys to play with him. He makes $7.5 million. He's been here for like 10 years at this point. You have to figure it out, right? Like a couple playoffs ago, I thought he was their best player in 2023 out of anyone. Forwards, defense, he was their best player. And I think a lot of it had to do with Luke Shen playing with him. And now you get Brandon Carlos. I'm excited for that, but he's got to pull his weight too. He's got to lock in defensively as well. So we'll see what he has in store, because he had a decent stretch. But I have to say, in terms of the new acquisitions, like Carlo, I thought he played better after the first. Scott Lawton looked a little bit lost, but it's his first game with a new team. Yesterday was kind of hectic. So I'm really looking at like 2 games from now for both of them to really judge them.
Right. So say on Monday for Utah,
Yeah.
Riley more used to Carlo being in his presence. Like, what do we look for paired with Carlo on Monday?
I'm looking for a
Like,
guy
in
who's playing more aggressive. I feel like Riley lets a lot of the opposing teams get to the puck first. I don't know if it's like he's scared because he's been playing with OEL and other guys at times, so I don't know if he's scared in that way. But I want the guy to play more aggressive, and I want him to stop more aggressive, but stop taking so many chances. Like there's so many times where like he's out of position, I find this year, and especially tonight where I just feel like he's running around. So I don't know exactly what it is, but they just gotta. I feel like they're gonna talk to each other over the next couple of days. Obviously, like where do you want me to be? Where do you put the puck, kind of thing. Like these little things, and they'll get used to each other. But I think that's the way the pairings got to be, because if you put Riley lower, it's a bit of a disaster. And Tanev, when he comes back, he's got to play with McCabe. So these two got to figure it out.
Of course. And same thing for OEL. I thought like tonight he was very unaggressive on the puck.
Mhm.
Like especially on, I think it was that 3rd or 4th goal where
Yeah.
he kind of just like let McKinnon of all people slide right in. I was like a bit puzzled by that. I was a little confused. But like, hey, you know what? Hopefully they turned around for Utah, and we can right the ship, because this is getting a little bit scary.
Too many losses in a row. I mean, we said it after the San Jose game. We'll let it slide. They've been playing well. After the Vegas game, we weren't live after it, but I mean, that game, Leafs were down 5-1 after 2 a.m. So I wonder how many people are actually super tuned in. But we're running it right back on Monday, because the game starts at 10 p.m. Eastern against the Utah Hockey Club. And yeah, regarding OEL, I mean, I don't think he looked great either. Yeah, he looked pretty slow out there. Not exact. I think Tanev holds them together. For Monday, I'm just looking at Tanev hopefully returning. They need him back very, very badly. Which makes sense. He's one of the best defensive defensemen in the NHL. I'm very curious to see how him with Carlo, with McCabe all playing in the same game. Like that should be a shutdown Obviously, they're not all playing in the same pairings, probably all separate pairings, depending on. They'll probably go back 10 MK. But either way, it's going to be interesting with Brandon Carlo. If he continued to play this well, that's the one positive I'm taking out of it. He looked really, really good, which is why some people were saying that he was playing bad. I was like, I don't know what we're watching. But at the end of the day, he played good after that first period. And I even think after that first goal where he missed the coverage. Other than that, I think he played fine. At some point, you have to just kind of Morgan Riley is what he is, and that's what he is for this season. The same thing last season. I don't know how much. I think they're going to run it back with Carlo and Riley. I think they're just going to try it. It was only one game. See how things do. Hopefully he gets hot. Run McCabe and Tanev, and then get Philip Myers off of my hockey team and go from there, and hope that Benoit continues to play well, because I think he played not great given the advanced analytics, but I'm fine with him throwing his body around, leveling some players, and especially in that third pairing. The problem becomes when you're playing with Philip Myers, you have two guys who are not very good at all at moving the puck, and then it becomes a big issue, and neither of them are particularly mobile either, so I don't know how many 6'5" guys who can't move the puck they can get away with on a given night.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me, guys.
Fantastic call. Thanks for calling in. Sorry for mixing you up with Eric. I get the numbers confused.
All right, don't worry. Take care, guys.
Thanks, John.
Shout out to John. Fantastic call in there. Some good insight. Some really good insight.
Definitely. Love the call-ins.
I like that. I mean, it was OEL, Carlo, McCabe, Tanev, Benoit Myers. That's interesting too. Just sit down Morgan Riley. I don't think they do it. I mean, I'd rather. No. I think OEL and Carlo could be an interesting pairing, though.
I bet they try it. I bet it's not going to be next game, and it might not be Florida, but I bet they try it down the stretch. The blender's going to come out here before the playoffs because they're going to try everything. So I bet they do try it 100%. You never know. It might work, right? But I like OEL as a third pairing guy. It's what he was in Florida, too. And very underrated defensive stick. Saw it again tonight. He's playing pretty well.
Who?
Although, OEL. Yeah. Very underrated defensive stick. I think he's pretty good. And he's got a mean streak to him, but I'm excited to see what he does in the playoffs because things change in the playoffs, of course. But should be interesting. I see a lot of people talking about the Amazon doc in the chat. And I always thought Nylander was a gamer myself, but that really turned a lot of people's perception on some of these players. When the going gets tough, Nylander puts his head down and keeps going. That is what everyone knows as Maple Leaf hockey, and can't say the same for the other guys, so they got to lock in a bit.
Yeah, I'm a little terrified for the playoffs. I mean, if they lose again in the first round, Mitch Marner probably walks.
I'm almost in this weird. I want them to win. Don't get me wrong, I want them to win, but if they lose in the same fashion, at least things will change. You know what I mean? Like this time. You know what I mean, Nick?
Yeah, I guess. But things are changing anyway now. That doesn't really matter because they're leaving.
Right. But what I'm saying is,
I'd rather
lose,
them lose in the cup.
At least I don't have to endure the same thing again.
Yeah, I guess.
over and over and over again, like Groundhog Day. But I do want them to win, and I do think they have a good chance to win. I think Treliving built a very good team in the offseason. I think he built a very good team, and teams go through these little stretches. Tampa just won 8 in a row. That's not sustainable, right? Like the Leafs will probably come back up. Well, let's stay optimistic. I think they're going to beat Utah on Monday, and then there's a big game on Thursday. It's going to be exciting. That's going to be like a playoff atmosphere. It's going to be exciting.
I mean, as much as we talk about having to win the Atlantic, you have to beat the teams anyway. Like you have to beat Florida regardless. So,
and even if you win the Atlantic, Nick, for as much as we talk about it, you're going to be playing a good team in the first round anyway. And a team that's probably been playing playoff hockey for the last month and a half. So, not as good as Florida or Tampa, I'll say that. I don't think Ottawa is as good as them. Montreal, who else is in the mix? Columbus, New York Rangers. I don't think they're as good, but
yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Dallas Stars scored already. Fantastic super team. Anyways, we'll be back on Monday. Let's do our 3 stars before we wrap up here because we'll have videos for you all tomorrow as well. Just
definitely
immensely.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of fallout, and I wonder if they practice tomorrow as well.
If you're in here, you might see you might see tomorrow a Morgan Riley special video because I might have to request that in my hand. All right, so you can start, Darius.
I'm gonna go with my 3rd star tonight, Brandon Carlo.
Oh yeah, I am too.
I thought he was, after the first period, I thought he settled in nicely. So there you go.
I'm gonna go my 3rd star, Mitch Marner. Fantastic game, really good. And I'm going to go 2nd star, Brandon Carlo, because I don't want to go same as you. So,
fair.
I mean, realistically, it's a bit of bias because he's a new Leaf. I think all things considered, he played well. McCabe was a better defenseman tonight, but I'm going to give some props to Brandon Carlo. So he's going to be my my Mickey Mouse second
Mm.
star.
No, that's fair. My second start tonight, I'm gonna give it to Austin Matthews. Thought he was an absolute beast all over the ice tonight. I thought he won almost every puck battle. Could be wrong in terms of advanced analytics, but it just seemed that way. Thought he was playing really well. He was double teamed at times too, and he was coming away with pucks. So thought he was absolute tank tonight. So Austin Matthews, my second star.
I'm gonna go first star. I mean, Austin Matthews could be John Tavares, could be Matthew Nyes. Which is sickening because so many Leafs played well and they lost the game.
Well. Yeah, it's unfortunate. My first start tonight, Mitch Marner. He had a great game, 2 goals. Could have had a hat trick. I thought he played well on the PK as well at times, and I thought he was playing aggressive. So it's a good game for him. A couple of goals, and especially through all the noise of the last day and a half, he's my first star for sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, brutal game, but it's fine. We'll be live every step of the way till the season ends. Now we shouldn't miss any more games because it's the home stretch. Every game matters a ridiculous amount. Starting with Monday, they cannot lose. I'm curious to see what some of the quotes come out about Morgan Riley and the Craig Berube as well. But fantastic stream. Thank you again, everyone who donated. Paul, Blake, everybody who supported. John, thank you for John Ambrose. I think was the name. It's a pretty cool name. Thank you for calling in. If you're in here, I don't think I've seen you in. I think I've seen you chat a couple times.
I was scrolling up a bit. I was like, was he in chat? And he was there. He was commenting a bit. Yeah.
Perfect. John, thank you for calling in. Everybody, thank you for the donations. We will be back on Monday. Hopefully, things will improve. We'll be good. But
10 p.m. local start. 10 p.m.
It'll be a late
Eastern
stream,
start.
so it's we'll be live though. We'll be live after that one because the game matters a lot either way. So it's gonna be interesting. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys in the video tomorrow. Stay tuned for the video. It's gonna be a good one.
Digest your daily dose of gold. Stories of the bold where legends untold. From first pop drop to the season's fall. Tune in and watch the drama